Welcome back to First Watch Rewatch. I'm Brad.
I'm Sean.
We are watching The Wire, Season 1, Episode 7. This is Sean's first watch, my rewatch.
Yes, sir.
So, One Arrest is the title. Any thoughts, comments, questions before we get into it?
I mean, the title One Arrest, I'm thinking all of these pieces they've been putting together. I'm thinking one of the murder suspects are going to get arrested. That was my initial thought going into this episode, so we'll see.
So we start off in the detail with pretty much everyone, and they're listening to the tape, but mainly it's Prez and Carver who are kind of going back and forth. Herc, who are kind of going back and forth, and they're listening to a tape of the payphone where they're saying, I think I got this right, little man stretched, we all the way down, but we're going to start on the latest tomorrow, down from up north, wait on black. And Herc makes up this bullshit answer of what he heard. Mm-hmm. And that's when we break it down. And I mentioned last episode, as far as, D'Angelo talking on the cell phone or talking on the payphone. And when they brought up Bodie coming home and he was like, oh, whatever. And I kind of talked about, it's almost like I felt like he was talking in code without getting into the details of Bodie's case or what more. He just said it was like a non-affirmative affirmative. And they talk directly about codes a little bit, and the fact that these guys don't, there's a whole nother layer. So they had to crack the pager code, the payphone code, the numbers that they're putting on there. But then there's a whole idea of what are they even saying? These aren't people who have, these aren't college educated or even high school educated people in most cases. And so when you're saying something like little man stretch, we all the way down, we're going to start on the latest tomorrow, especially for guys like Herc, who have not done any investigative work. He busts heads and that's it. He doesn't really ask questions. He doesn't know much about the people that he's chasing.
Right.
And this is something Prez is able to kind of show off. And he likens it to listening to Brown Sugar and the Rolling Stones with his ears to the speaker. And of course, it's like the simple joke, right? Like the Tommy Boy, did you eat paint chips as a kid? Did you hold your speaker real close to you hold your ears real close to the speaker as a kid? And that's what Prez did. So everyone has a nice laugh about that, but he's absolutely right. And on top of that, they find out that they're putting stash codes on the pagers. Yeah. And so when you look at the pager, beyond the fact that there's a phone number code, sometimes they're giving a code as to where the stash pickup's going to be. And so they're using a 5 for an S and 4 for 4 packs and LO or 7-0 for low rises. And so that to them, they break it down and it means Stinkum, who is black, low rises for 4 packs. And Prez tells him, he looks at pager messages for 4 or 5 hours at a time. He likes this shit.
Right.
It kind of makes Herc and Carver sick.
It makes them look like shittier cops too. So.
Mm-hmm. And so we go to the credits, of course, and then we come up with our quote: "A man must have a code" from Bunk.
Yep.
But we start right off with Santangelo, kind of where we left off last episode, and Rawls is pissed. Rawls is fuming off of what he's learned from Daniels, accidentally, of course, we think from Daniels, that McNulty is fighting the close of this case. And so Rawls laid it out to Santangelo. I want to know about what McNulty's doing. And it looks like Santangelo is not going to follow through. And so what Rawls has come up now with is punishment for Santangelo, since he can't get to McNulty. And the punishment is that it's fucked up that this is punishment. Santangelo's punishment is that he has to go back and solve one of the cases that he wasn't able to solve, essentially.
He has to do his job.
Go back and do some real work on a case you fucked up in the past. And Santangelo is begging, but he lays it out. He says, it's not my job to fuck another cop. And this is where we really kind of learn the boundaries that Santangelo has. And while he's been the mole, it looks like this is really pushing a little too far for Santangelo.
Yeah, he doesn't want to go this far, and he definitely doesn't feel comfortable. He thinks McNulty he might not like him, but he thinks he's a good cop, I think.
Mm-hmm. Or at least, we talked about Santangelo hasn't been showing up at times, and they've mentioned in past episodes when he would skip out. And we talked about, I kind of felt like he didn't want to be a part of the whole moling thing And so he was making himself purposely scarce. If you're not around, you can't tell people shit.
Yeah.
And they had talked about how McNulty had talked about how he covered for Santangelo with roll call. And I kind of almost look at it like there's a fraternity with cops, and no matter how much of an asshole one is, right? Even Daniels talked about Polk when he reprimanded Polk last episode, and that people have been filling out his timesheets. McNulty a couple once, and
he did one.
Yeah, and Prez did one, and so it seems like these cops, even despite their faults and despite the fact McNulty has called Polk like a waste, and he's complained to his higher ups and the judge about the manpower that they've got, he's still covering for these guys. And there seems to be, and I think that's at the heart of Santangelo, is even if he hates McNulty's the reason he's on this shit detail that he doesn't even want to be on in the first place. He's not going to break that fraternity of policing. And and on top of that, he's going to eat this punishment. He eats this punishment for the whole episode.
Yeah.
So we get Freeman and Carver and Kima and Herc, and they're working out their plan basically to chase Stinkum at the stash drop. Now they've got the pager code as to where, when and where this drop's going to happen and who it's with. They've got a plan, and looks like it's Freeman being the quarterback. You want to call him Tony Romo? Is that you want to label him that?
Because I don't want him to get the hate Tony Romo gets. So
everyone will hate Freeman.
Yeah.
But he's quarterbacking this whole thing, and he's laying it out, and you can see the wheels turning with Carver and Herc, and they're starting to get it. Carver, I think, has been buying in, but Herc is starting to get it.
Yeah, Carver is bought in at this point, but Herc is still pushed back. So, especially with the stuff that's incredibly complicated, he's a little bit more pushback on that.
Yeah, and also he gets to be physically involved in this. A lot of times when he gets frustrated, it's the sitting on the rooftop type shit that he hates. But the plan here, and it's a great plan, they're going to chase Stinkum, and they're going to allow whoever's with Stinkum to pop out with the drugs. They're going to chase that guy and get the drugs and get the guy, but they're never going to arrest Stinkum. Stinkum, they know, is a higher up guy, and we already know that he's getting points on the package, right? He owns his own territory now as part of Avon's crew, so he's definitely he's the guy to hand off the money. So he's as high up as they've got as far as a criminal activity. They're about to get him with this stash, and so the plan is you don't arrest him. And Herc's trying to figure it out, and they lay it out. It's like, and Herc almost figures it out himself. That basically we get the kid. We get the drugs, but between the kid and the drugs and already witnessing the car he came out of, we've got Stinkum on a drug charge anytime we want. But they're going to throw him back into the water and let him keep going.
Mm-hmm.
It's smart. And it does seem like it seems like Herc gets it and Herc buys it. But again, he's getting to do the chasing.
Right, because he's physically involved. He's interested.
And and so we go from there on to Judge Phelan. He's signing his 30-day extension. We know that from the last episode, Daniels has gotten a 30-day advance or 30-day extension with this case, and so they're getting another 30 days on the wire, on the pager clone, all that, so that they actually have things to continue to surveillance. But it's a weird scene. It's super, super weird. It's a lot of, alpha mailing. As Phelan is reading.
Is it alpha mail, or is he just straight up like reprimanding McNulty a little bit? Or maybe, kind of for sloppy work, right?
Well, he's reprimanding him over stuff like grammar.
Yeah.
But the reason why I feel like it's alpha mailing is because the judge immediately kind of turns it to the assistant state's attorney in Rhonda Perlman, and kind of flirting with her. And I felt like a lot of his aggression was to look good in front of Rhonda Perlman. I mean, it could be that he's just disappointed in his friend Jimmy McNulty and his lack of control of the English language. That could completely be the case.
I mean, how many people make that same argument on Facebook or Twitter every day about there, and there, right?
Yeah. And I'm single, and on all the dating apps, that's what everyone says. They don't want to date a guy that doesn't know the difference between your, and your. It's and it's, there and there, yeah. And so he reprimands McNulty right in front of Perlman when he's doing this great police work that's getting him these wiretaps and these pager clones, but he just kind of derides them, and then he turns it to Perlman and boasts her up, and that's why it felt like dick wagging. Even though McNulty's not partaking in any way. No. He's caught a little off guard, and it makes me wonder, I guess, do you think that Fallon even knows about the relationship between McNulty and Perlman?
Yeah, I think he has a hint of something, and that's probably why he's pushing the issue. Because he also made that comment about wanting to bang her when she left. So I think he was feeling McNulty out.
That's what I was wondering. Like, would you say that to a friend of a girl he's banging, or a girl that that he had an affair with? Would you say that sort of thing, that you'd like to throw a fuck into her, which is quote he
said? That is what he said. I couldn't remember exactly how he put it, but yeah.
Yeah, you'd like to throw a fuck into her. Would you say that about a guy that's sort of like dating her? Your buddy started sort of dating her? Would you? I don't know.
He's different.
But he essentially they get the wire, and then Perlman leaves in another uncomfortable scene, and basically wants McNulty to talk to him about the case. McNulty's a little bit distant, and it's funny because this entire thing, and they jump back and forth a little bit, but the entire idea of McNulty not talking to Fallon this time, and they went to Daniel's last episode and said, we need you to push this case, and as McNulty's now kind of explaining a little bit of this to Fallon, as far as how the case got continued to where they're getting these re-ups on the wires, he tells him Daniel stepped up. He was surprised, he was shocked, and Fallon says, why didn't you come to me? And McNulty tells him, no offense, but you've hung me out to dry. You've been dropping my name to everybody every time I come and see you. You are fucking my career.
In the press thing, excuse me.
But the ironic thing is, Daniels did that. And when they went to him, Daniels did throw McNulty under the bus. Exactly what he didn't want Fallon to do, and the reason he didn't go to Fallon, because he didn't want Rawls to hear that he's undermining him. Daniels already accidentally did it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I don't know. I thought it was a kind of a depressing scene. It felt like McNulty just was not going to engage in the friendship, and that's what got him the case in the first place. So it felt like it was so much more so like he was just fed up with Fallon at this point.
Yeah,
but he still doesn't know that he's in the shit with Rawls.
Not yet, at least. No.
So we get the stash plan. We got the cops. Kima, Greggs, McNulty. I'm sorry, Kima, Greggs, one person.
Kima is Greggs, yeah.
Kima, Greggs. Carver, Herc. Is Sidner there?
He is in the back seat, yep.
Back seat. So they're running this plan, and it basically works perfect. Let me ask you this. I'm not sure how to tackle the scene, but I guess I'll say it as I noticed it. At what point do you notice the eye patch? At all during this scene? Do you notice the eye patch at all?
I noticed it right away.
You noticed it right away? Okay.
I noticed it immediately. Yeah. And that's all I'll say for now. Let's keep going.
Do you realize anything once you see the eye patch? Do you think anything about it?
I'm thinking, like, that's got to be the kid that got punched in the early
You're noticing that in the car?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And basically it happens exactly as they laid out. They do the chase. They know that the drugs are in the car. A kid in the eye patch runs out with a bag, and I thought this was awesome. So Stinkum runs, and they let Stinkum go. I thought this was awesome that they run into Bodie, D'Angelo, and Poot's world, who are just chilling in the pit. There's no storyline happening with them, and this kid just happens to run into their world where the chase goes on, and it allows for this awesome moment where Herc is chasing the kid in the eye patch with the drugs, and they're telling him, step, that's the re-up, you better step. And Bodie steps right in Herc's way and says, hey, officer, and plows him over. And and you got to remember, last episode, they socked him in the face and threw him down on the ground, and they've been after him. And so this was a great, I thought, just a complete random worlds colliding.
And I love moments like that where the worlds collide, but it's organic because it makes sense that they be in the pit, obviously.
Right. There was nothing else going on. It was just he's running. They happen to run into the pit. We knew that the re-up was for the low rise, so we knew it was in their area, but there was no establishing shot of here's D'Angelo and Bodie waiting for the re-up. There was nothing. It was just They happen to be in mid-conversation, and this guy ran into there. And so the actual arrest for this kid in the eye patch happens right in front of D'Angelo's crew for them all to save. Just a really fun scene. And between that and the chase, I thought a lot of action, a lot of fun, I thought.
And it was at this point when they arrested the kid in the eye patch. He looked a little older than the kid that Prez punched in the earlier episode at the towers. So I'm thinking, oh, maybe it's not the same kid. So I kind of first saw the eye patch. I immediately made that connection. And when they were arrested, I'm like, oh, he looks a little older, a little bigger. So maybe it's not him.
And Stinkum calls Stringer. He's freaking out. He's smoking cigarettes. And Sidner, who was at the arrest, gets a call and says someone's using a payphone from Freeman. And so Sidner has to bolt right from the arrest. And this just goes to show you, man, the Barksdale crew with these snags that they're starting to put, the crew's starting to fuck up. They don't know how to handle this adversity. So Stinkum is on the payphone. Sidner is able to confirm that it is one of their targets. And he basically tells them he says on the payphone, he calls Stringer. They now know this because someone else had screwed up earlier by yelling Stringer's name.
Right.
So like Freeman said earlier, all the pieces fit. They're able to put these pieces together. They know they know they did this bust. Stinkum is now calling Stringer to tell him, and he straight up tells him, I lost 4. And he's like, why the fuck are you telling me this? Yeah. Hang up.
I'll see you later.
All this discipline that they've had is slowly slipping away.
I just got to give props to Cinder for running from the scene of the crime all the way to the rooftop. Like that was, he showed his skills there. So
and it's a little thing, but this is one of the few times I think, and certainly the first time, you're able to actually see what the setup is and how they're actually what they're doing. In that they're, well, in this case, he double parks, but they're running into an apartment complex. And they're running up to the roof with their surveillance gear. Yeah. And so it's not like a stealth operation. They're literally running into a building across the street and just viewing it.
Right. It's not as stealthy as it should be, No,
and I just thought that was pretty interesting. And I don't know. Cool that you're getting to see. You always see things once it's already set up and sleek. And I thought it's nice to see that it's not as sleek as you would imagine it being.
Yeah.
From there, we get Jay giving Santangelo a little boost. So Santangelo's working this case that was his to begin with, and Jay confirms that this is his case and this is his punishment for not giving up McNulty. Rawls is making him work a cold murder case that has a cold, of course, not being solved. And the fact that it's his in the first place, Jay acknowledges, makes it even worse. It's not like he's cleaning up other people's shit like McNulty has done in the past. He's trying to clean up his own shit. And sensing this, I don't know, vulnerability, Jay gives, it seems like it's like a gimmick they run all the time on down and out officers, detectives who can't find cases. Because he says, give me the card. And Cole, who's the detective at the desk, he already knows what he's doing. And he's like, oh, don't do this. He's like, come on, give me the card. And so he gives her the card, and Jay's singing this. And Jay steals scenes, I feel. Any scene that he gets, he does something in it. And just, he's a jovial guy, but it's a little Chris Farley-ish. And Gypsy Woman he's singing. And he gives Santangelo this card, and he tells him, Madame LaRue. Call this gypsy, call this psychic. She will help you with your cold case. And he says, I'm not kidding. This is serious. Part of me feels like this is like a thing that like cops would do to each other. I feel like this is a story that the writer's taking directly out of like real experiences that he's had.
Mm-hmm.
Where you have down and out cops who are so desperate to find a clue that they will try anything, including a psychic.
Yeah, I could see Madame LaRue being based off a true story. I can see that.
And so he's got nothing else to go on. And so he just takes it. Says, okay, I'm going to give this a try, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
We get to McNulty and Bunk, who are helping this elderly lady. They see this elderly lady where the state's witness was murdered.
Yeah, investigating the murder of the working man. Yep.
And they see her trying to get this card up, and again, it's just great. The chemistry between the two of them, they know what they're thinking. And he says merit badge for two Samaritans. And she's got a great line, just this nice lady, and she's got a great line. She says, let me get this. I don't know. It's just the way that they phrase things. And I know that these are written lines by a writer, where she says, let me get this straight. You two hang out here, white and black, helping old ladies. And just the observation of her that she saw these two in suits, this white and this black guy, and that's her observation. And she knows right away. She says cops, right? The homicide. She knows what it's about. It's about the maintenance man. But it's just the way that they put it all together and the way that she identifies them was so interesting to me.
Yeah, it was. And then they went into her apartment and they kind of tried to get some evidence from her, basically.
Yeah, and I thought the detail of the apartment, you know, they pull back and they show you it's a very small place. It's modest decorations, and you can tell they're very careful as far as not wanting to get her in trouble. She's very nervous about saying too much, and she doesn't even offer herself up as being able to see the face. She says she was behind the shooting, but she's able to confirm at least the distance of the shooting. And they've already got Omar's, what we know is, you know, probably false eyewitness testimony, but it kind of confirms what Omar's already told them. About Bird and the killing and the way it was done, and they determine that based off the information Omar's given them and this lady, that they're going to be able to jack up Bird with the actual gun that he committed the murder with. Omar tells them that he's probably got that gun on. Yeah, he's too dumb to throw a gun like that away. And so they get this info from this lady. Were you worried for her at all after this?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just as nervous as she was. In terms of her giving out this info. And like I said, I'm in the previous episode, there's been like very questionable police in terms of safety and keeping the criminals away from the innocent. There's been a little bit of questionability. So yeah, I was worried for her.
And you know, this is a murder case about a witness who's witnessing a murder from the previous, you know, of that guy.
Of another murder.
Right. Yeah. And so she's witnessing the murder of a witness who witnessed a murder.
Yes.
And so you do have to kind of warn her. She said, if you have any...
5 times fast. That's
yeah. And they tell her, if you have any problems, they give the card, give us a call anytime. But nice lady. So we get Carver interrogating the one-eyed kid.
Yep.
Not really interrogation, just kind of getting his information. But it's funny because he's down in the basement, right? He's not in an actual... he's not in narcotics. Yeah, he's not in narcotics interrogation room or anything like that at the police station. He's in their basement. And this is where we get the confirmation. This is the kid that Prez hit with the butt of his gun a few episodes ago. He's staring, I don't know, pun intended or not, but he's eye fucking Prez. I mean, in the most literal sense of the phrase, he is eye fucking Prez to the point where Prez has to walk out of the room, and he goes into, and it's almost like a little kid, you know, in the way he goes into Daniel's office, and he's like, it's him. It's him, and he can't even say it, he can't look at it, and that enrages the kid even more. Daniels, and you know, we talked about last episode the sentiment that he has with the pictures of Brandon. It does seem like, again, it hits him as far as having a heart with this kid. And again, I know he wants the case. He wants to flip him. But trying to give him, like he says, he wants to try and give him like a shot. Try to give him an opportunity at a second chance. And the kid says, my lawyer says, I got a case against you guys.
Yeah.
And Daniels, this is great. Fuck the lawyers. I feel like he's trying to relate to him, take it to the street code a little bit more. But with this kid, it seems like it's past, but he plays nice guy. He sends Carver to get a tea and a candy bar, a Reese's peanut butter cup. And then the kid, do you think he was making any leeway with this kid? We've gone through this with Bodie.
Yes, because the kid went through some physical trauma, like he's blind in one eye. So I thought so. I was set up for that a little bit. But then when Carver came back with orange soda instead of the iced tea, I knew that, all right, no, it's not going to go the way we think. So
they gave way less suspense over this than they did the Carver trying to flip Bodie. And he just says right there, motherfucker think he can pimp me over a candy bar.
And he throws it back at him.
Throws the back at him. No hope for Daniels in that case.
No.
We get to Santangelo going to Madame LaRue. It's a total hoax, right? She's got his name fucked up, his ethnicity fucked up.
Yeah.
He's talking about random saints. It's like, oh, you're named after this saint, but it's a different saint. And it's the saint that everyone tells you to pray to when you're missing something, Saint Anthony. And
the statue she named wrong, and I know because my boy Bakos has that tat, so it's definitely incorrect.
Oh, shout out to Bakos. He Yeah, he tells her, he's like, this isn't even the right statue. He's like, oh, so she gives him this mission to bury the statue at the gravesite of the victim that he's investigating for 1 hour, and then put it under his pillow, and with the murderer will be whispered to him, or it'll come to him in a dream or something like that. Some mythical, magical thing will happen. But he's desperate again, and so he's
completely ridiculous.
Bunker McNulty. Speaking of ridiculous, I'll be honest. I can't find a point to this scene other than to fill in the gaps, because I feel like it's been a lot of episodes since we've seen Bunker McNulty drinking together.
And their partners, essentially.
And they're partners, and they're essentially catching you up on who's bought every night so far at the bars. And they're like basically telling you, I got this night, and this night was at this place, and they've been drinking together every night at the bar. I feel like that's the only reason for the scene.
Yeah.
Tell you that they've been drinking, and also let you know that Bunk might be he's married, but he might be a little bit loose on the nuptials.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's staring at this girl, and he said, McNulty has to kind of snap him back, right? Where's Nadine? Where's your wife? And now she's away, and so he's looking around. Bunk's a bit of a flirter.
Yeah.
And we know McNulty is an unfaithful guy.
Yes.
From his exploits.
Yes.
So we go back and forth to them a little bit, but I just look at it as like character flavor.
Yeah, it was a character moment. There was no story progressed by any of those scenes.
And McNulty's a legendary drunk, I feel like, on this show, but Bunk is a funny drunk. There's little things about Bunk that, when he's talking to himself, we saw it on a previous episode when he's like drunk and he's just kind of talking to himself, mumbling.
He was drunk when he told the mouse story, right? The first time.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And he's just kind of the way he's going, mumbling around. Like it's I don't know. There's something Fred Sanford-ish about it. I don't know. It's just endearing to me to see him. He might be my favorite drinker on TV.
Okay.
We get to see a little bit about Daniels and his life and his family. We've met Marla before. She's the one that gave the quote, "You can't lose if you don't play." But it seems like she's involved in some political aspirations. And we learned, so basically this is a fundraiser that Daniels and his wife Marla are at. And this is where we get to see the political side of the police district, because Burrell, who Daniels was just involved in this really tense discussion with him about this whole case, none of that's even discussed in this. Right. Burrell is talking to him almost like a friend. And mentions that this is a 500. Now, again, this goes back to, is Daniels dirty? But this is a $500 per plate fundraiser. And this is what the FBI guy said, is that he had a little bit more money than any lieutenant should.
Right.
And so that's where my mind instantly went, was $500. Why would they even say that? How does he afford that? And Burrell calls it cruel and unusual punishment for someone making that salary. And we get to see a little bit of the political landscape. There's a state senator hanging at this party, Clay Davis, and Burrell kind of drops a line to him that almost makes it feel like Daniels maybe isn't in the shit like he thought he would be.
Right. There's a whole nother level that he hasn't gotten to yet.
Yeah, and Burrell said, he does a pop quiz, asks him, do you know who that guy is? Tells him it's the state senator, Clay Davis. And then looks at him and kind of jokes, says, you'll never make major at this rate. And
Daniels has the most like
even though I was up for major.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was pretty interesting, in just the tone change when they're in a different setting than a police office.
Yeah.
We get Johnny and Bubbles now. Johnny is did we talk about this? I think I skipped this. Okay, so we skipped this. This was like the third scene in the show. I'm sorry, I skipped this bullet point. But okay. Johnny, who was under arrest, Bub's friend, was under arrest.
Oh, with Kima. Yes, we did skip that. Sorry.
And so he's in court, basically just ready for his hearing, I guess. And Kima is able to come in, and this is where we know that, and Bubs is with her, and she goes to the prosecutor and says, "I need to pull one." And he runs down Johnny's list, his rap sheet, and of course we know he just got out of rehab, out of a hospital a month ago, if that long. And Kim says, "Still need to pull this guy," and they work out a plea deal. Again, it's reminiscent of what was up with Bodie.
Very similar, yeah.
And she says, "Hey," she like lays it out like, "Here's the deal. I'm with your boy Bubs. You want to get out, no jail time? Convince the judge that you want to get your shit clean. Pee when they tell you to pee, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, that's it? No jail time? No jail time. And it's like no one even cares about this guy getting out. No one gives a shit.
Yeah. I mean, he's a non-violent offender, so, you know, it's reasonable, whatever.
Sure, but he's a thief.
Yeah.
Let's steal. As we just saw last episode, it was all his idea. And when the prosecutor's running down his rap sheet, it's a long list of stuff. And in this case, possession. He's a career fuck up.
Criminal, yeah.
But no one cares. And so it's going to work. And so he's going to get Johnny. Johnny's going to get out. Keeman's going to help get him out. And again, Bubs really does care about Johnny. Yeah. The last we saw Bubs, he was drooling on himself when he saw Johnny. Or the last we saw Bubs, he was drooling on himself when he saw Johnny getting arrested. So the fact that he got his shit together, got his cop friend to then go find Johnny and get him out, that's pretty big.
I will say Bubs strikes me just based on his character so far as a competent addict, right? Or
very efficient.
Functional addict.
Functional, yeah.
He's able to maintain whatever social status he has now, able to maintain it and remain an addict. Whereas Johnny, I don't know if he has that ability or he just has bad luck as well, maybe.
You know, also there's a point. One of the things that Bubs mentioned is that he's a young boy, right? He described Johnny as his young boy. He's trying to get him brown. He's green, right? Mm-hmm. And so Bubs has been at this a long time.
Exactly. Yep.
And Johnny's probably very new to this, and so
yep.
You know, you liken it to a college kid drinking for the first time, and maybe they're only a year into hardcore college drinking or whatever, and versus a 42-year-old that's been drinking his whole life and maybe has already declared himself an alcoholic, and schooling him a little bit to pacing yourself.
Yeah.
But now to fast forward to the reason why we brought it up is that part of Johnny's plea deal is that he has to go to Narcotics Anonymous.
Right.
And he is not into this at all. And like you said, you know, Johnny, this is not Johnny's thing. Bubs thinks it's going to be pretty fun. Actually, he seems to be highly amused.
He embraces it. At least, yeah.
Yeah, well, he said, I think, you know, let's see the show or let's see the circus or something, how he refers to it, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as he's walking down, Bubs almost feels like a celebrity. As he's walking down the aisle to the front row, people are shouting him out. Hey, Bubs, he's waving at people. And he says, and this is sad, but he says, you know, I haven't seen some of these faces in so long, I thought they were dead.
Mm.
Which just goes to show, you know, the life when you're living on the street and you're doing drugs, getting high, and you're seeing these same people hitting these same corners all the time, and then they disappear for 4 months. What do you think happens? You don't think, oh, they must have cleaned up and they're living with their you know, their parents, or they're living with their sister or their brother or their grandma
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, this guy must have overdosed. And so Bubs is kind of being reacquainted with like faces in there, but he does feel like a celebrity when he walks in.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I enjoy this. Bubs seems amused. Oh, it is interesting to note that when Bubs says that, Johnny says when Bubs says, "I thought they were dead," and Johnny says it's the same thing, ain't it?
Yeah.
It really shows their mentalities to this. This isn't even Bubs' bid. This isn't even his punishment. But he just seems way more open to listening to this, and we see that it definitely touches him, this meeting. But Johnny is not giving this a chance in any way.
No, he's got his body language, his arms are crossed. He's not into it.
Mm-hmm. And so we meet Waylon, who has been clean for 24 hours or a few 24 hours. I'm not exactly sure how he phrased it, but it's been like 24 hours. Yeah. And I wanted to find a little bit of info on Waylon, because this is like the one thing that like I remember knowing about the show is that he's a real guy. He's a musician. He's like I don't know if you would call him a celebrity, I guess, but he's a musician. So I looked up all the stuff that like I knew about him, where it's all written, and that he is a legitimate addict. From
his story was real or at least
somewhat real. Yeah, he's from Virginia, and he's been sober, I think, since I want to say 1994. And he was arrested then on a narcotics charge and spent the first 4 months of a sentence in a court-ordered rehab. So his name is Steve Earle, Earle. Okay. And he's got some songs in later seasons. He's got music that will be used in the show. Namely, he sings the actual theme song for season 5. The theme song always stays the same, but it's a different version of the song, and he sings the season 5 version.
Okay.
But he is, he's just kind of a guy in the area, and I think this is kind of what the show does a lot of times. There's little tidbits. There's so many tidbits about the show. But one of the tidbits of the show is that they often use real people. A lot of times you're going to see people on the show and you go, that was a shitty acting job. It's often because they're not an actual actor. They're just someone that works in a Baltimore school playing a person working in a school because they said, hey, we're going to use the school. You want to play the person working in the office.
Right.
And that's how it goes. And so in this case, Waylon is basically telling his story. And I imagine it's not far off from what Steve Earle's true story is, being from the area.
Yeah, and it had that tint of genuine to it. So you could tell there was something. You could tell for sure.
Yeah, and Bubs,
like a trained
Bubs,
actor.
and Bubs is paying attention. It's catching Bubs' attention.
Yeah.
And basically, this is the story of a guy, Waylon, who has hit rock bottom. He's used up all of his friends who have loaned him money. He has no self-respect. He has no support. And the only thing he has going for him is that he's sober right now. And he's acknowledging how good being sober feels. Yeah. And all of these things are just seem to be hitting Bubs in his eyes. He's listening, he's smoking a cigarette, but seems to be paying attention. And versus Johnny, who doesn't care.
Right. But I think Johnny is reacting to Bubs' reactions, though.
That's a good point. So they after he tells his story, they do the whole, and they don't have chips here. Again, this is a low income facility, so they're not doing any type of chips or anything like that. They're doing keychains, and they're calling people up. I think it's like 3 months that gets the first. I think it's
6 actually. The first
was it, but 6 no one comes up. Right?
6 or 3.
Yeah, I feel like 6 no one comes up, and then after 3 months someone comes up, and then
with the first person that actually comes up. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, and then like a month, and then they keep breaking it down, and then they get down to and you can see Bubs' reaction, and everyone's cheering for everyone that's coming up to get a keychain, and they're clapping and cheering and rooting them on, and you can kind of see Bubs' reaction, like this is nice. I don't know this. It's almost like he doesn't know the feeling. Yeah. Of having support until they say,
of a sobriety at least.
Mm-hmm. And then they say, they say the most important, anyone that's been clean for 24 hours or has a sincere desire to live. And that's what gets Bubs up. Bubs stands up for that. And Johnny's getting a kick out of that. He's just cracking up. Because I guess they shot up this morning.
Yeah.
They're high right now.
Right. So it must be that he has a sincere desire to live. That must be why he was compelled to get up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We get to Day-Day, who's in the kitchen. And I saw your face when this happened. You recognize this, right? So we're back into the fundraiser.
Day-Day. Day-Day, is that his name? I said, oh, shit, Ashley Larry is in this? What? I had no idea.
Yeah. So Lieutenant Daniels walks into the kitchen, and it's clear he does not belong in this political world. That's, going off of what happened with the way he accidentally dropped McNulty's name. Then Burrell telling him previously in the scene that you'll never make major at this point, not knowing the state senator. Mm-hmm. And then it always takes me back to when there's a movie or something where the wife is doing something and the husband distances himself, and then he always finds himself hanging out with the DJ or the bartender or in the back with people who work because that's who he feels comfortable with.
Yeah.
That's what Daniels ends up doing. He goes into the kitchen where all the drivers for the politicians are hanging out. And Ashley Larry's right there. It's a great shot to show you, it's clearly they want to show you, Ashley Larry's got a role on here. And he asks us, it's so slick. Who are you driving for? He says,
Daniels.
Marla Daniels. Marla Daniels, his wife. And no one knows that's who it is, but he's like, okay, driving for someone. And Ashley Larry basically starts laying out this idea of how, man, we could rob this house, rewire the alarm onto itself and back up a truck, blah, 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 blah. And what does Daniels say? It's a buzzword.
I don't know. You got me. What did he say?
That'll work. That's one of the words. That's what Brandon says when him and Omar and John Bailey are talking about
trapping those guys.
Yeah, talking about the next plan that they want to do. And Brandon goes, that'll work. right? That's one of those words that they tend to use on the show.
Okay. I'll make note of that.
And when you see like, right, Daniels, I felt like starts slumming it when he walks into that room, when that guy starts talking about crime, and that'll work. Like, that's not a thing that a lieutenant, you know what I mean? I felt like he was trying to assimilate into crime life, crime slang.
I think he at least wanted to see how far he would go.
For sure. But it shows you how good he is and how the ability of Daniels to kind of slide through like that, because they do the handshake together, right? Ashley Larry feels good about him because they shake hands and he knows the handshake.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as he finds out, they introduce themselves. Hey, I'm Day-Day. Damon, they call me Day-Day. So I'm Lieutenant Daniels. They call me Lieutenant. And so Day-Day's pissed. And of course, Marlo then comes and gets Daniels and sees that, he's not a driver. He's the husband. He's part of this party.
Right.
So we actually go back now to the bar with McNulty and Bunk still drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And they're now talking about how to solve. It's like we're drunk and we're going to solve all the world's problems, but they're going to solve Jimmy's problems. And what they basically break it down to is that Jimmy has to come up with these clearances on these murders at the end of this detail. He has to deliver the clearances, and then has to eat shit for 3 to 4 months and kiss ass from
then maybe he'll be okay.
So the gist that we're getting is that short of like coming up with a perfect case on this, McNulty's career could be fucked.
Right.
And then there's a great line. There's just great back and forth with McNulty and Bunk when the way that McNulty's talking about being fucked. And the way the Bunk just goes with it, it's shit that's just like, it's what makes the show so rewatchable.
Mm-hmm.
Is little things, little bits like that, and just the flavor. So I've used it before. I used it earlier, but the flavor that they're putting on their relationship, and their character, you really get the sense that this is like his best bar buddy. And we've all had friends like that we go to the bars with, or we hang out with, and we take ourselves to this ultimate, and that's what these guys are doing, no matter what.
Yeah, and he's kind of his escape from the detail too, because it has nothing to do with Bunk. So
yeah. We then get into D'Angelo's. D'Angelo going to Orlando's. And Orlando, before D'Angelo gets up there, tells him, and this is one of my favorite words, like, or favorite phrases I like to use, because I don't hear anyone talk like this. So Orlando tells D'Angelo, when you're done, come see me, because he says, I got a little move we could do.
Mm.
You ever talk like that?
I mean, I don't, but I hear it. So
I love that. I got a little move we could do.
Mm.
I just like it. It's funny.
I feel like Mayweather talks like that a lot.
And so this is tense, I thought. D'Angelo goes up into the office, and immediately they're already kind of reprimanding Stinkum for the slip up on the phone for talking about the 4-packs being took by the cops. But as soon as D'Angelo walks in and closes the doors, first question, who's snitching? And for me, like, my first thought is like, don't let them think it's you. Don't look like you're lying. Don't look like you're covering something up. Like, my fear would just take in of self-preservation at that point.
I feel like we've established that Avon, even though he's ruthless, obviously, what he did to Brandon, he's not going to physically harm D'Angelo, at least not yet at this stage. So I wasn't really fearful for him physically, but I was very concerned about what his answer would be. So
yeah, answer very carefully from this. Everything you do from this point on is very important for D'Angelo. So D'Angelo says that no one's snitching, and so they tell him that shit's going to change in the pit. And everything is shut down. The pit is shut down until Stringer comes down and tells you what the new plan is going to be, how we're going to move forward. And so it looks like he kind of at least escapes any drama with that.
Now, the point I think we made when we were watching it live is that now they've kind of done what they were trying to avoid with the 2 murder cases that Rawls was going to charge, and that now Avon wants to switch it up a little bit. He's switching up the patterns, and that's what they were trying to avoid. So,
and we talked about this last episode, but there's so much exposition that they're laying out for the case, because for us as the viewer, I think it's new to us as the type of there's so many things what's this phone tracing and the pager clone, and what's the difference between that and the payphone and the coding and all that. So they're explaining so many things, but for me, I'm a little jaded because I've seen this a million times. For you, I'm curious, is this as confusing to you as it seems to Avon? Avon seems bewildered as to what the fuck. We talked about this last episode. No one's ever seen an investigative case like this. They're trying to play it out with Stinkum, right? They let Stinkum go. They got, don't they have the license plate? Why isn't Stinkum in jail? Avon looks like his head is hurting. He can't figure out what the fuck's going on. We know behind the scenes that Freeman is quarterbacking and building a conspiracy criminal case of basically a mob of organized crime. Mm-hmm. But are you as the viewer?
I wouldn't say I'm as confused as Avon is to that level, but because I'm seeing both sides of it, so I see the steps, so it makes complete sense in the storyline and as a strategy from Freeman. But I do 100% get Avon's perspective as if they have the plates and they took the packs, why not take everything? What are they doing? So, and he's confused about everything that's happened thus far. So it's a bigger confusion. He's confused about Omar knowing, I don't know. I mean, you tell me, is he confused about Omar knowing where their stash house was, or he figured out he just was playing us and he figured it out? I don't know.
No, I think that's why they asked D'Angelo, who's snitching. Like, previously they kind of left it up to Stringer to say, me and your uncle think you got a snitch in your shop. And he's like, what? Now there's no more games. There's no more of, okay, withhold payment. We'll let you find it out. They're just bringing up, who's the snitch? What the fuck's going on? So your shop is fucked up.
Yeah.
And costing them money, quite frankly.
Yeah. So I get Avon's confusion 100%, and now he's pivoting. So
let me ask you like this. Have you ever seen investigative work in a police show like this? Because that's where I feel like the catch-up is necessary for the viewer, because you've never seen I can't remember, I've watched like Law and Order SVU, but I don't know, I can't imagine, I can't think of like storylines or police shows where it's this in-depth, where they leave someone out hanging because they know that's someone that they can bring in later on a charge. Like, I've just never seen thought out police work like this laid out in cinema. TV.
Yeah, not that I could think of off the top of my head, at least. No.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of it. I think that's what part of the confusion, but also what we're seeing from the actual characters is that this hasn't really been done before. This is very new investigative work that none of them are accustomed with. And like I said, Avon looks like his head's hurting.
Yeah, he's definitely, that's a good description. His head's hurting.
Yeah. We get to Santangelo leaving the basement again. We know that he's actually going to do the burial for the statue, but he asked for McNulty to help clear it with Daniels or cover for him. But it definitely looks like McNulty's annoyed by Santangelo, and we know again he's already been playing a little bit loose. McNulty doesn't know Santangelo's ratting, or was ratting, but he seems like he's kind of fed up with Santangelo at this point.
Yeah, and he's a little frustrated overall too.
We get to Freeman playing Poot on the payphone. I assume it's Poot. I'm pretty sure it's Poot. Basically to make Herc and Carver happy of overhearing some conversation where they're referring to Herc and Carver as Batman and Robin, and they just get a kick out of that. And another word that they use a lot, which I know people use, but I feel like it could be overused in this show, is "I." So Carver's is like, "All right," and they're just geeked up on being Batman and Robin. They're arguing back and forth about who's who. Would you have a guess who's Batman and who's Robin?
I'm gonna assume the white man is Batman.
Okay, you look at Robin as a black guy.
No, but Batman is. I'm just gonna assume her.
See, I look at it the other way. I look at Carver as Batman because I just don't think of I don't think as Robin as a black guy.
I don't either, but I don't think of Batman as a black guy either. So.
I think Poot would look at Carver as the captain of the team.
No, I don't think they know how skilled Carver is, or not skilled. I'm exaggerating there. I don't know. They know how Carver, how dedicated he is over Herc. I think they just see who's the guy who punched me first and who came in guns a-blazing. So
okay. But they definitely. Well, this is Poot though, not Bodhi.
True. It's true.
Yeah. True. But we get to, like, it almost feels like they almost get like a new lease of life on Carver and Herc, almost like a little kid when you give him a snack.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, you gave me chocolate. I'll be good for the rest of the day now. Like, it feels like it feels like they've almost bought their enthusiasm in the case for another week.
Yeah, that's fair. For all the wrong reasons. But
right, because they fear these guys. They hear that they're being feared in the streets.
They police brutality at will. They dish it out at will.
Johnny is not going to meetings anymore, so Bubbles is just going to sign a slips for him. We see them shooting up again and figuring out how they're going to get clean P for Johnny's probation. We see them lay out the plans for Daniels, for McNulty and Greg's, as far as working with informants on getting information on Bird. And the plan is, as soon as they can get info on Bird, they're going to jump out on him. Santangelo is at the graveyard now, burying the statue. And really just kind of keeping the day timeline, I guess, alive in that sense, because he had just left previously.
Yep.
And now this is where we talked about last time, as far as, Bodhi hopping in the car with the cops. But Omar now is just sitting in the cop car with Kima and Greg's in the hood. They don't take him anywhere special, smoking a cigarette, so you can see him, hear him, and smell him, openly snitching.
Yeah.
And I like, I like the lines, if he says, you worried about being seen, has anyone got a problem? I'll gladly stick my gun in their face. And we're seeing now at this point, much like we talked about with Bubs, we talked about in the last episode, Omar is motivated by revenge.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. Everything that was kind of against him and the code and being in the game, how the game is played, he's not on that anymore. He's on revenge for Avon and anything that he can do at this point to help the cops take down the Barksdale crew, he's down to do.
Right, 100%.
And so he tells them, and I thought this was a cool scene because you and I talked a little bit about like hip hop with the show, and you were questioning, like, is this show like hip hop culture or hip hop based? And we talked about Cameron and the way that they used to talk about, phones and wiretaps. This episode is 2002, but when Omar's giving the cops a little bit of info on Bird and the fact that he's actually a drug addict himself and likes the cop, and he goes somewhere else, he sings the song. I thought this was so monumental for hip hop. And he says, "Oh, but he doesn't cop around here. Never get high." He even sings it in the Biggie cadence.
Yeah,
never get high on your own supply.
Now, but why do you say it's big for hip hop though?
I just think that's a cool thing that a rapper. He said it in a way that it was almost a spoken knowledge. For instance, did you question it when you heard it?
No, no.
You know exactly what he meant.
Yeah.
Now, if someone were to say like, you know what they say, a dog off the leash and the dog gonna bite, would you go like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, is that from DMX? I don't know what that.
Right, that's a DMX thing. That's what I mean. It's not. But the fact that they.
I think that's more of a testament to Biggie more than the other way around.
But that's what I mean, and that's what's so cool. The fact that they felt so comfortable to not just say it, but to sing it.
Yeah,
to
definitely.
Sing the cadence, to sing the lyric. It's just a really cool thing, and I think a stamp that this, for me, that this show is built in hip hop culture.
Okay, that's definitely a great argument for it. So
yeah, and I just, so cool thing for me as both, you two as a huge hip hop fan, something that sticks with me. So then we also get Omar basically confirming also that you're going to have to arrest him to get the gun. He's going to have the gun on him. They need the gun. They can't go to his house. They don't know where he lives. So basically they've narrowed it down to Omar tells them where the package is, that's not an Avon package, that Bird would be found, and that's where they're going to go to track down Bird. And he tells them, when you run up on him, you best be more ... careful, that is. And Omar confirms that if you try and run up on him, he's going to fight back.
Right. They came deep, or they'll come deep.
Bodhi asks about Wallace. Poot says he's been fucked up since the Brandon murder.
Yeah.
And, this is kind of continuing on. Bodie just got home. Prior to that, we talked about how him and Bodie and D'Angelo were having issues, and it kind of stemmed from Bodie's treatment to Wallace, as far as the way, he was too much of a kid. Playing with toys. He's the one that threw the bottle that started the face-to-face with Bodie and D'Angelo in the first place. And so now he's saying he's in the wind, something's up. And Bodie definitely feels uncomfortable with Wallace's distance.
Yeah, for sure.
We get Orlando popping up now in the pit and telling basically a follow-up for what he was talking to him about what they could get up on later.
And he lays out his whole might could to him.
And and tells him, like, I've got to connect in DC. They've got some drugs from New Orleans. They're offering weight. I don't have the connection to sell it in that way myself. I like to give you the drugs, and we split whatever comes back 50-50. All the risk is on me. Also, by the way, no one else knows about this.
Now, all the risk isn't on him, for the record, because if you're selling somebody else's product other than your uncle's, Avon, from D'Angelo, just as much risk on me just for selling up somebody else's product. So
sure,
but it's an interesting plan. Again, they laid the seeds of this before because Stinkum, I'm sorry, he's getting points on the pack,
right?
And D's not. And then they dangle it in front of him last week a little bit, like, you keep it up. But now he's messed up, and now they shut down his pit. So now there's no points in the pack coming for him. So
and D'Angelo's been and Orlando's been kind of priming D'Angelo. Remember when he told him he's the one that told D'Angelo about the points on the package for Stink.
True. That's
and
very
I
true.
think what they said was like, that's when we kind of learned about the pay structure of all those guys and how Orlando's just the front man for the liquor license, and he's on salary. He's not making any extra money. And he said, there's enough for all of us. And D'Angelo's like, for sure. And Orlando was shocked that D'Angelo was on salary still.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really following up all of that and saying, your uncle don't know about this. This is a little something for us. And so D'Angelo leaves it with, let me think on it.
Yeah. Now, personally, I don't think D'Angelo should do it. And if I could guess, I'm hoping, not that I'm hoping, but the smart thing to do from all of D'Angelo's previous behavior is to tell Avon about this. But it's a TV show, so who knows if that's what'll happen.
Yeah, and how badly does he want the money? How badly is he feeling disenfranchised? He did just get that $500 for turning in Brandon.
Yeah, but I'm sure that's peanuts compared to what they can make off of this situation. So
possibly, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
We get to
Wallace next.
Wallace, yeah. Wallace in one of the homes. I'm assuming the same one, but he's snorting heroin. I'm assuming it's heroin because. And you asked the question too, but
I don't know if it was coke or what he was doing.
Yeah, he's been sleeping. They said he's been sleeping. He's been out of it, and that doesn't. And when he snorts it, then he just kind of like passes out. That doesn't seem like a thing growing with cocaine. Yeah. And now we get to
showing how fucked he is based off of that murder of Brandon, though. It's still affecting him. So.
Yeah, and it's funny because we go right from this into the Bird scene where the whole premise of this stakeout, where they're staking out Bird, is the fact that he is a drug addict and you don't get high on your own supply. And Wallace is also getting high. And Omar mentioned that, Avon's not down with his team getting high. And so we really go from one guy on Avon's team getting high to another guy on Avon's team getting higher
in the totem pole, yeah.
And it's going to get him in jail because of it. And I thought this was a pretty brutal scene, but action-packed. And again, like with the last episode and coupled with the chase that they did with Stinkum, the action scenes and things that they're doing really it's starting to pay off from the first 5 episodes of groundwork that they were laying. You're really starting to see the street action and the police action come together for some exciting stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
And so the deal is basically Sidner getting to play his vagrant role again. Him and Freeman buying a 40-ounce, smoking a cigarette.
Freeman got to do a little undercover work this time.
Mm-hmm. And they called it the shooting gallery where Bird was hanging out. I assume that's where they're shooting up. And so they wait for him to get out, and the whole crew is there, right? Even Bubbles. And they brought Bubbles in to run his hat game so that when Bird comes out,
Puts the hat on him so fast. Yeah.
Puts the hat on because they haven't seen Bird. We've seen Bird, but we haven't seen him by name.
Right.
We've just seen him in the same episode. They mentioned this character Bird, and so I filled you in. But until we see Bubbles put the hat on Bird, the show doesn't really make that complete conclusion that is who Bird is. And it's
Right.
Treasure Star, of course.
That's the confirmation, that red hat, which has always been for the cops.
Right. So I think it's cool that they brought Bubbles kind of out of the area because Omar mentioned specifically this is out of Avon's cruise area. You would imagine that he needs to go get high somewhere where no one's going to see him. So I think it's kind of cool, much like when the original bust with Stinkum was going down and they chased that kid into the courtyard and Bodie and D'Angelo and everyone were just hanging out. I think it's cool that they brought Bubbles, who's in the middle of this other storyline of NA with Johnny. They brought him out to work this case with them in this case.
Yeah.
And the deal is basically, here's the plan. When Bird comes out, I'm going to bust him over the head with this 40-ounce bottle. And then we jump on him. That's it. Police brutality as well. Just hit him in the head, knock him down, and cuff him. And that's the plan. And they find the gun on him. It becomes clear, too, when you see the gun, too, you notice, you're like, oh, that is a different type of gun. I think.
Right, it's the exact way Omar described it. That stood out to me. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And so, it goes exactly like Omar told him it would go.
Mm-hmm. And next week, so Bird gets brought to the homicide, I guess, precinct versus the detail, which I just thought that was interesting. It's like, okay, this is... I don't know if he's trying to show, hey, Rawls, I'm actually doing work, or if it was just because it was a murder versus a drug or anything else case. I don't know.
I think it's Bunk's case.
Oh, it is Bunk's case. Okay.
This is Bunk's case, and he's not on the details, so it's a homicide case, even though it leads to the
it is Bunk's
bigger
case. I forgot.
Yeah, even though it leads to the bigger case file.
Yeah. Okay. See, those are the little details that, you as a repeat viewer, right away. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, they didn't bring him to the little cage. They brought him to an actual precinct. But yes, it's a case, so they would bring him there.
Mm-hmm. Right before that.
I jumped ahead a little.
No, it's all good. We get Freeman. We get Stringer in the pit. Yes. And he's now laying out the rules, and he's asking questions, and he's trying to narrow it down. And Stringer and Bodie and everyone, D'Angelo and Bodie, they say, there's no outside communication. No one has cell phones. Literally, the only two things that we have to make communication are these pay phones and these pagers. Mm-hmm. And that sets off the bill. Are you, in your head, are you figuring this out with Stringer?
I mean, I'm from the perspective of the police. I'm like, shit, Stringer's figuring this out. Yeah, he's putting together how you guys are tracking them. So
it's pretty good. It's pretty good that he puts it together and he looks over and he sees payphones. And he doesn't put together about the pager. Of course, there's only one pager that they've got a line.
Right, no, he doesn't put that together.
But it's just a great line. I think he says something like, "Rip those motherfuckers out."
Yeah, tear them out.
Tear those motherfuckers out, and they go, "What?" He goes, tear him out. And so they pull him, and Freeman is watching the computer, of course, and he immediately gets the service interrupt message on all the payphones.
Yep.
So they have the drug team has thwarted the police efforts so far in this episode.
Yeah, in that specific payphone. Yeah, now they still have the their other surveillance spot, right? Isn't there another payphone they still have?
There's one more. Yeah, there's one more payphone, and they still have D'Angelo's pager.
Yeah, so they're not dead in the water. Yeah.
But on top of that, Stringer tells them to never use the same payphone and to walk a little bit further for other payphones, and so to start switching up. He's on to the fact that he thinks it's the payphones.
Yeah.
And he ain't wrong. So now we do get Bird in the interrogation room. It starts with Jay, and he takes a picture of Bird all cuffed up because they want to show that basically he came into the interrogation room with the same bruises and scars that he had, or that he leaves the interrogation room with the same bruises and scars that he came in with. And of course, those are from getting fucked up on the street, from getting busted with a bottle. So they're basically starting from scratch, ignoring the original police brutality. But now the interrogation kind of starts escalating, and he starts yelling at Kima. And that that prompts Daniels, who's outside, and Omar is there to give testimony to Bunk, which is why we know it's Bunk's case. And Daniels says that someone better get in there. And this is when you kind of like hear like this. I mean, we saw her beat the shit out of Bodhi. But Daniels kind of alludes to like almost like a darker side of Kima, where he's like, she might cut him.
Pushing her buttons, yeah.
Yeah, like that's such a specific like it's like character, like she might cut him. not beat him up, like just she might cut him with something. And so McNulty goes into the interrogation room as well. And this gives Bunk a chance to basically run Omar, I think, through like the smell test to see, does he pass the smell test? Do I believe him? Does he make a reliable witness on the stand? Because he asks, he basically lays it out there like, you're a dirty guy, you're a drug dealer, why you, why this case? And Omar plays the role, like I envision it on the stand, of being why would we believe a guy who rips off drug dealers, who shoots people? And he says, I've never put the gun on anyone that's not in the game. I do some dirt myself, he keeps talking about this game and the code. And Bunk says, a man must have a code. And another great,
that's the title of the or the first quote from the episode, yeah.
Man must have a code, and a great line. So Bunk lays out basically all this stuff for Omar and questions him all about Omar's life, and this is where Omar talks about the game and the code, and Omar then breaks into a separate into a non sequitur of saying like, I know you, right? I recognize you. And Bunk's running down like his old stomping grounds as a cop. And he's like, no, I actually know you. And it turns out they went to high school together. Bunk's a couple years older than Omar, but they went to school together. And this is funny because this is the second reference they bring up they have with lacrosse. We mentioned.
Oh, right. Because of those kids outside of Omar where he was staying.
And what Omar says is exactly my thought in something like that when he says, you were the first brother I ever seen play that sport with a stick. That's when Bunk says, all right, it's lacrosse. I don't know lacrosse as a black sport in any way. I don't know black kids that played lacrosse. And I found it really interesting that they're almost going out of their way to put lacrosse into the show. Those kids that were hanging outside of Avon's girlfriend's apartment could have had a basketball, could have been throwing a football, could have just been sitting on the corner eating a snack. They were carrying lacrosse sticks.
Yeah. I think it's intentional in all. I agree with you. I think it's intentional in that lacrosse is a more suburban thing. You do that if you live in Long Island or if you live in Cheltenham or if you live in somewhere with a lot of grass.
Or just predominantly white. Because that's what Omar says. You're the first brother I ever saw playing that sport with a stick, meaning that he'd never seen a black person playing lacrosse. I gotta be honest, I don't know that Bunk might be the only black person I know that plays lacrosse.
No, I definitely know some black lacrosse players, but like from high school. But okay. I think to your point, it's like Bunk was like from Omar's perspective, he's seeing Bunk like, oh, he's assimilated basically. And then Omar was staying, not Omar, Avon was staying in the suburbs with his girl. It wasn't in the projects, it wasn't in the hood. And you got these kids playing, kind of reinforcing.
You look at it,
suburban elevated thing.
Yes, you look at the sport as a statement into the setting of which we're at or where the character's from. That's interesting. I've never thought.
That's how I took it.
Good. I'm so glad I'm doing your first watch.
Yeah, that's how I took it, though.
That's cool. Okay. And so they kind of like draw a little bit of a relationship, chemistry off of this, and Bunk kind of pulls him in, and he kind of asks him for a little help. He's like, why don't you just, unload your Rolodex of murders? And how far back you want me to go? And a great line, murder, stay murder. And we know that because that's what Santangelo is still doing, chasing this cold case.
Yeah.
Which we'll come back to this because of this in the end of it. But we go back to McNulty and Kima in the interrogation room with Bird, and the gun report comes back, and they confirm. They say the gun matches. You're done. Death sentence for you for killing a state's witness. On top of that, they've already mentioned that if the gun did match, it's a federal case. It's not just a Baltimore City homicide, or it's a federal case when you kill a state's witness.
Yeah.
And so that's it. It's death penalty for Bird. And they tell him, last chance to grab something for yourself. And he says something that's extremely vulgar, and he's just throwing.
Repeat.
Yeah. he's those words aren't all in my vocabulary, but he's just unloading on every word that he can use. And I thought this was one of the few moments of the show that I thought was a misstep.
In what way?
So in what follows after this? So immediately after this, when they confirm that the Bird matches for the state's witness, McNulty leaves, and waiting outside are Daniels and Landsman, and Kima never gets up. Kima stays, and they rip the picture up and proceed to beat the shit out of Bird. And I just thought, man, we just did some great police work, and it's all really because, at the end of the day, because Daniels was man enough to stand up to the brass and force the issue, he got this case extended to where they were able to even now they've got a legitimate murder charge. And now, Kima, they've alluded, and we've seen her beat the shit out of Bodhi.
Yeah.
But now here's Daniels getting in on beating the shit out of a guy that's cuffed, to which of a case and an interaction he had zero. He wasn't interrogating the guy. The guy wasn't cursing him out. The guy, he didn't attack the guy. He didn't have to arrest the guy on the street. He's the coach of this, essentially.
Yeah.
And so if Freeman's the quarterback and McNulty and Greggs are the wide receiver and the running backs or whatever, it's almost like John Madden coming in and talking shit about the Miami Dolphins cornerback. Like, I felt it was a little dirty for this guy Daniels, who's built up so much clout, to now come in on this police brutality thing. It seems so unnecessary for his character.
I thought it was just a statement to how rampant the police brutality is, or how nonchalant it is. I didn't necessarily. I mean, everything you're saying is correct. I don't disagree. It kind of takes down Daniels a notch because you haven't seen him participate in something like that. And was McNulty in there too? I think McNulty.
No, he left. That's what's so weird about it, is he purposely leaves, and Greggs, it matches, and then McNulty walks up, and Greggs just sits there. She never even tries to leave. And when McNulty opens the door, that's when Jay Landsman and Daniels walk in. They trade out, and it's almost like this is Daniel's role. And I just
I took that as Daniel. Okay, so to that point, then I took it as Daniel's protecting his officer, because that's Greggs is specifically his officer. That he's her commanding officer. So Jay doesn't have any. He doesn't give a fuck at the end of the day if he says these disrespectful things to Kima, because that's not his officer. But
Jay does get it. But
he does.
And so that's my thing is that, and I can buy Jay because Jay's in there in the first place. So he's calling Jay names, calling him fat. And I imagine before he takes a picture, Bird's probably giving it to Jay. It's his homicide department.
Right.
It just felt like Daniels had no reason to be angry. And when he had just previously said that Kima might cut him, it seems like Kima's completely capable of handling this herself. And in a world where Daniels in my mind, cleared himself of being at least dirty in that sense, to where he's not helping the case move forward.
Yeah.
I just felt like it was such a step down and put him in a much more crooked light. And I don't know, I just wanted him to be a better cop than to stoop to something that I would expect Herc and Carver to do.
Sure. Definitely. That's something Herc and Carver would do. But I guess that's back to my point. I think it just spoke to how nonchalant it is and how it won't really affect anything. It's like, all right, we got our case. Let's beat his ass now for saying all that shit to us. Let's make sure we get our paperwork signed first. And then, all right, we're cool. Let's beat his ass. So I took it as it's just to illustrate how nonchalant and how someone at the level of Daniels can participate so willingly. And it was also, I really think it was part of the fact that that's his officer. They have that relationship. Mm-hmm. So he needed to do something a little more to show that you're on my team. Right. And I think there's a little bit of frustration with him because remember last week when he interacted with Freeman, and it's like, he gave up something to make this case continue. So he's like blowing off a little steam, I think, too. There's a little element of that, I think.
Okay. I've never really looked at it as like the way that he was maybe sticking up for his officers. And I think that's probably something that outside of like the Carver, Herc, Prez Belusky thing that Daniels has to do, I probably forget about that aspect of it. So yeah, I guess I can see that. I guess I don't know. It just feels like a down moment for me to see Daniels as a physical guy.
Definitely, it does. I don't appreciate it. It makes me think less of his character, but I understand the choice as the writers, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good perspective I've never thought of. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. So.
So Omar now gives them one of Santangelo's cases after Bunk has asked him, like, hey, can you go back in your Rolodex of murders?
So Madame LaRue came through after all.
Right. And so we immediately go to Jay, who's sleeping with the statue. He gets a call. He's so confused because it's not the case he's investigating. And I don't know, it just made Santangelo look like a fucking moron because he shows up at the police station, has no idea what's going on, finds out that he's so confused because it's not the case that he went to the psychic with. And Jay has to tell him, like, fuck the bullshit, dude. Like, we were fucking with you. That's not real. These are the guys. And I appreciate this because Landsman, I think, straddles the political tightrope. He helps his officers when he can, but at the same time, he plays political to Rawls. But I think when you see, this scene where he's bringing the coffee for Bunk and McNulty, and he's giving McNulty the public credit for solving Santangelo's case. I just thought it adds a soft spot in an episode where I thought a soft spot was taken from Daniels. I thought a soft spot was given to Landsman in this case, to where I go, oh.
I mean, I think Jay's all softy, man. I've seen nothing but in the world he inhabits, at least, and in the position he's in, I've seen nothing but him trying to help McNulty out. So I'm a Jay guy. I like him.
Yeah, I think I'm probably taking it too sensitively to when he kind of stuck McNulty with that shit case with the D thing, having no inkling, and me not believing that he really did have an inkling. He just wanted McNulty to work a new case for him. And I don't know, the way he's kind of swarmy with Rawls when they're kind of doing their back and forth and being such a suck up. I look at that as like, oh, why don't you just be real with him and you know what I mean? Like, tell him how great of a cop McNulty is to his face. But it's like he's playing the game. He's got to let Rawls do it himself and feel like the man. And so those are things where I feel like he's a bit of a lackey.
Yeah. I mean, sure, but there's like lackeys who are ambitious and trying to get themselves ahead, and there are lackeys who understand that it's a necessary evil, and I feel like he's on that more end of the spectrum than the other.
And I think this scene helped prove that, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
And that is the moment. That's the moment where Santangelo basically has to tell McNulty, says, "Hey, Jimmy, I got to tell you something," and he presumably basically unloads that. Not that he's doing anything, but the fact that Rawls is out for him, and he's out for blood. And we know this because the final scene is McNulty going to Rhonda Perlman's late at night, and she's assuming that it's McNulty at his worst, and he's just emotional. He has nowhere else to go, and he tells her, he's going after my fucking badge. He's going after my badge. He loves this job, and I think the word is he's going to do me. I love this job, and they're going to do me, which sounds like mob talk.
It does, and it's the equivalent, right? They're gonna take away his police credibility.
Yeah, they're gonna kill my career. They're gonna do me.
Now, one thing we didn't mention earlier from the conversation with the judge and Rhonda and McNulty is that, and after Rhonda leaves, McNulty and the judge, he's just kind of like, worst case scenario, you always got, I forget which department it is, but he hints that
or something.
Yeah, but he hints that if things go south, you're safe. You won't be out of a job.
Right.
So
he's telling me he's got some options.
Yeah. So I think that I remember that scene at the end again, as it wrapped up.
I didn't know what that meant exactly when he started saying it. To be honest, like that conversation is a little bit like above from a vocabulary standpoint. I didn't know what that meant exactly. I just didn't know what that meant. Does that mean like he stops being a cop? Does he switch departments? What does that mean?
Do you remember what it was again? What was it called? It was.
I thought I said like states. I thought I said like state's department, but
he might have said the state's
attorney or
state's attorney. I think so. I think he would become. I don't know. I'm all speculating here. So
but I wasn't sure. And like, does that mean that someone comes and steps in and says, "Oh, he can't be fired"? Like you know what I mean? Like I don't know.
He probably gets fired from homicide and ends up getting hired for this other department. Yeah, jumping ship to WCW or something.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't really put that together until when he mentioned that that was in the same thing, in the same thing as timeline, at least as far as him finding out that he might be getting fucked.
Yeah.
And that's how it ends. And she lets him in. And I just thought it was interesting because we haven't really seen a lot of McNulty and Rhonda Perlman outside of them having basically establishing the relationship. But everything outside that's just been pretty professional and, I don't know, sarcastic at best.
At best, yeah. They don't show any genuine affection for each other, really.
No. And the one, Kima picked up on some weird sharpness between them a couple episodes ago that you mentioned. But so I thought it was interesting that they brought that back, and that's where McNulty went when he was kind of had nowhere else to go, no one to turn.
And that's what finally made her let him in, because there's always that she's at the door, but you're not really in. You just, what do you want? So
yeah. Okay, so you felt like the cops had a one up on last episode, and we felt like Omar and the cops had kind of consolidated their sides. You still feel that way? Feel like it's Omar and the cops?
Yeah, Omar's still with the cops. He's an informant. He doesn't have any allies, at least that we are aware of yet. He's
crewed up with the cops. Cops, McNulty's his crew.
Right. So yeah. So I think they're all one team. But who won this week? I mean, unquestionably, I think it's the Barksdale crew. They shut down the pit. So, and they took out the payphones.
Cell phones.
So, yeah, those are the two
payphones. I keep saying cell phones. God.
Yeah, the payphone. They took out the two payphones and they shut down the pit. So those are two big wins for them as a whole. So the L is kind of, they have a soldier who's unloyal in Orlando who's making plays behind their back. So that's a problem. But overall, they've progressed more than the police did this week. So
I agree with that. Any storylines that you're looking forward to seeing playing out, or anything?
D in Orlando, that's the most exciting thread, the new thread that's opened up there. I'm really interested in. D'Angelo's got to be smart, man, and he's not shown himself to be the smartest person all the time, and this is an opportunity for him to make some money, but he's also you don't want to get on your uncle's bad side, so.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And the family aspect of it, every time we talk about like the dissension, and I brought it up, I think 2 episodes ago, and you brought up this last time, as far as like, you never sense that issue between D'Angelo and Avon.
No, and there's times where there would be tension, like, for example, after he writes a letter and then they bring him in, like, and then you never get any threats, at least any very strong threats, if there are any. So yeah, that's why I feel like D'Angelo is still in a position where Avon wouldn't physically harm him.
And it looks like as of now, I think we can assume that the snitching in the pit storyline is dead, and that they're just chalking it up to the cell phones.
To the payphones.
Yeah. Why do I keep saying cell phones?
Because nobody uses payphones.
No one uses payphones anymore.
So maybe drug dealers.
One payphone 2 episodes ago, or one cell phone 2 episodes ago when D'Angelo slapped it out of Poot's hands.
Right.
Yeah. Other than that, was about it. So, another great episode. Looking forward to. So we'll be back for, I guess, season 1, episode 8, which is Lessons.
Yes.
And if anyone has any comments or anything, can leave them down in the description. Also, we should talk. We're kind of like easing into this whole title thing, but first watch, rewatch. Again, this is your first watch of The Wire, my rewatch. Once we get through The Wire, we're gonna flip it, and I'm gonna be doing a first watch of your pick, and it'll be your rewatch. And so while we're continuing to do this, if anyone ever has suggestions of shows that you love for us to tackle, the only rule is that one of us couldn't have seen it. Right. And then we're able to grab that up as the suggestion for the next round of shows. So if you ever have any suggestions of shows that you want us to review, we can do that as long as one of us hasn't seen it. One of us can pick it up. So always feel free to leave those suggestions. And any threads. We hope that people are watching along for the first time, doing their first watch with my rewatch, along with you doing your first watch. So that's the fun of it.
What do you think? You think there's got to be way more rewatchers than first watchers out there, right? I'm in the minority here, I think.
No, it's weird because people who watch The Wire gravitate, and so people who watch The Wire know who they can talk to. But I've got tons of friends that have never ever watched The Wire. I have more acquaintances and just casual Facebook friends that have watched The Wire than I do actual friends. I got like one, maybe two friends that have watched The Wire, but you know, our buddy Harper's never watched The Wire. He likes to talk about how he's never
watched it.
Right, Mr. Serial episodic television himself has never ever watched The Wire and loves to joke about how he's never made it through the first episode.
I mean, you know, in hindsight, he might not like it too much, but we'll see. Yeah.
But it's just, you know, it's and that's kind of, you know, even now, part of us doing this is that you were talking about wanting to watch it, and I've been seeing just during the quarantine a few people talking about how they're just going to start watching The Wire. And you start realizing, like, wow, people just really never have. And it can be a chore. But now with the quarantine, everyone's home, people are more willing.
Less of a chore, yeah.
Yeah, are willing to get into it. And I think a lot of people blew their load on Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad. And I think for those people, this is a show that was in 2002. You know, it kind of escaped. If you missed it then, you might not, unless you had a really nagging friend, you might not have gone back to watch it.
No, yeah.
It wasn't like The Sopranos.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't the marquee show of HBO. And so I think there are a lot of people that are still going through this for the very first time. It's fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So and I might rewatch after my first one. I mean, I'm definitely gonna, but I mean, let me get through season 1 and then we'll see. So.
And you're seeing with me, you know, I'm still coming out with stuff that I'm framing in new ways. I've never looked at it. Right. And with so many characters and things that I'm helping you along. I'm able to be a crutch for you to kind of bring up things that I don't want the viewers at anyone to miss, things that I've, you know, caught on to. Right. But if you were just watching this by yourself, you could watch this 3-4 times and still catch something new every single time because there's so many things to pay attention to.
Right. Definitely.
So, great show. Yeah. All right, we're done.
All right. So next week, what's it called again?
It's called Lessons. So it'll be season 1, episode 8.
All right.
All right. So we'll see you guys then.
All right.